Dear student, today I'll discuss with you about the Ukraine crisis. India abstains from the United Nations Security Council, and it is clear that India is silent and it is in favor of the Russia. The two powers, Russia and USA, the European countries. India is having a very good ties with the USA since last 2 decades. We are having very, very good relations. In 2008, we signed the nuclear deal, which is historic in itself. On the other hand, if we go to the slightly history, India signed 5 decades ago a historical treaty of friendship and cooperation with USSR. We changed our foreign policy from non-aligned movement to the Eastern Bloc. Now, the situation with the Ukraine crisis, India is facing a lot of problems. What I feel today is India in a very scarcity situation. As I have told you, India abstains from the voting in the United Nations Security Council just in the recent past. When a situation is not clear, but you can sense the implications and dangers, according to me, what the crisis in Ukraine means for India is one such situation. And I have come out with some points that India is facing those points at the moment. On the one hand, India has historically close relations with Moscow, and 60 to 70% of our defense equipment comes from Russia. On the other hand, in the last 2 decades, just I have told you, India's relationship with the United States has transformed. We are members of Quad and share common vision for the Indo-Pacific. So when both want our clear-cut support for their stand on Ukraine, are we getting torn apart? Let's start with India's response. We are proud of being the world's biggest democracy, and we stand for rules-based international order. Have we therefore damaged our image by refusing to criticize the Russian invasion for a sovereign country and by abstaining from voting at the United Nations Security Council? While Russia has expressed appreciation of India's stand at the United Nations, US President Joe Biden has publicly indicated there are unresolved differences with India. Clearly, this has introduced a strain in the Indo-US relation. How worrying is this? The time will tell. Let us go a step further. India is the only Quad country that has not sharply and publicly criticized Russia. So are there now serious differences of perception within the Quad? Is it weaker and less united as a result? The problem for India could become more difficult depending on how the crisis in Ukraine might develop. Not only Has Russia divided Ukraine by effectively taking over the Donbas region, but the popularly elected Vladimir Zelensky government is likely to be toppled and a pro-Russian support regime put in its place? Russia will expect Indian support and difficult through that maybe while we have a very tense and unpredictable situation on our borders with China. Will we have to abstain again? Does this mean the Chinese problem and India's dependence on Russia military equipment have substantially tied our hands? India now continues to abstain and not criticize Russia even after Ukraine has been gobbled up. What sort of relationship will we have left with Americas? The tougher the sanctions the West impose on Russia, the greater will be Russia's dependence on Beijing, and therefore, the stronger the Chinese-Russia partnership. Could that lead to change in Russia's stand on the India-China problem and even possibly the India-Pakistan problem? Just a few days back, in Tribune, the former Foreign Secretary Shyam Saran went a step further. The nightmare scenario for India would be if the US comes to the conclusion that it confronts a greater threat from Russia and that this justifies a strategic accommodation with China. In blunt terms, concedes Chinese dominance in Asia while safeguarding its European flank. How likely is this? If this nightmare happens, does it mean India will be on its own facing China with hostile Pakistan to our west and neither America nor Russia with us politically? There is no doubt we're going through a very difficult situation, but how long can we continue? If we have to come down on one side or the other, which should it be? In the last, given India's need for economic investment and technology, but also our commitment to a democracy and a rules-based international order, and the fact the problem with China is not going away, is the US the better friend for the future? These are the few points which I have come out from the recent situation in the Central Asia. Russia and Ukraine are on the war. It's a more than 1.5 week long. And how long it will continue? And what will be India's situation? It's a very difficult. Thank you very much.